All right, guys. Today we're joined here by Wiz and SoftSimon from Mempool.space. They're working on an amazing block explorer and mempool visualization that we use a lot at Bitcoin Magazine, and you'll see and recognize from our Twitch stream with Marbles that I co-host with Tommy, who does all of our graphics work. And it's been a great catalyst and a great starter for a lot of people who are new to Bitcoin. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you guys and give you a chance to tell us a little bit about who you are and when you started working on Mempool.space, all that kind of good stuff. So Wiz, I'll start with you.
Sure. My name is Wiz. I'm originally from Hawaii, and I grew up working in a data center environment and got into software development. Got into Bitcoin probably like 2012, 2013, trading on Mt. Gox in the old days. And, probably got into mining, I guess was my first big major project. And now I run a lot of Bitcoin nodes together with Simon, together with the BISC guys, a little bit of work on the Liquid Federation with the Blockstream guys, or bitcoinonly.com with 6102. Just a bunch of random open source projects here and there. But definitely my main project now is with Simon, working on Mempool.space and the Mempool open source project, which is getting pretty huge.
Definitely. And Simon, how'd you end up working with Wiz?
Yeah, I started working with Bitcoin and got interested in Bitcoin seriously in 2017, and I started going to some conferences and stuff. And it was when I was in the Hackers Congress annual conference in Prague that I felt that I really I want to contribute something to the Bitcoin space. So I need to find something to do, and then I just got this idea of like visualizing blocks coming in, like on a live visualization on a wall, instead of the price graph, which is very common to have on the wall. So that's like how it started. And then just Viz approached me like, hey, you should open source this stuff, and he pushed me to do. And now it's a full-fledged block explorer. From the beginning, it was just a simple visualization start page.
Yeah, I think I've watched it grow quite a bit. We had worked with BISC, and Wiz was pushing it to try to change Art Explorer over from Explorer, which I still haven't done it. I need to do from Explorer over to Mempool, but I've had a chance to actually dive in and look at it, and it's just super cool to watch it kind of grow.
Yeah, it's gone really fast. I think it was just March or April this year we launched the actual Block Explorer version of the website. So that's not even a year ago, and it's taking off really fast, and we're just working on this full time now.
So, why block explorers have been around forever? That's basically one of the first things you need, right, to really show off what's going on under the hood and make it a blockchain pretty usable. Why did we need Mempool.space?
Wiz.
Yeah, that's a long, deep conversation, right? So, I guess for starters, if you go back in the early days, there was like blockexplorer.com, which was extremely simple, really ugly HTML, and after that we had blockchain.info, which was like the de facto block explorer for a while, and then it's like a proprietary closed source website. They didn't add SegWit for like years and years, and they just generally weren't good members of the Bitcoin community. Then recently we had blockstream.info, which was really cool because it was totally open source, and especially the backend, they rewrote this Electrum server backend. But once Simon and I found that backend, we kind of adapted it to our front end, and we got we basically implemented a new mempool front end on top of the Electrum server backend. And by combining this really awesome backend with this really awesome front end, we were able to build the best block explorer. So we just kept polishing it, right? We just tried to do everything ethically and correctly as we see it. It's like for Bitcoiners by Bitcoiners. Well, like
I didn't mention it before. I was working in software development before, mostly front end stuff like JavaScript, and I've been working with Angular for multiple years, like doing great like user experience. So I really took that experience when making Mempool.space. So like when you click on something, it should be instant. There's a lot of preloading, and I think you notice that when you use the site. Like, and a lot of people feel that when you're like, wow, it's so quick. When you click on something, it's like instant. So I really got that experience.
And you're doing a lot of heavy lifting under the hood though to make that happen.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the challenges of making that, because it's not just Electrum that you need, right? It's not just Bitcoin Core that you need. There's a lot of things that you've got to do to get all of this data ready and prepped to be so quick and fast.
Well, on the server side, I built a bunch of servers, just totally custom for Mempool.space, where I researched what would be the best hardware, and I tried a bunch of different things. Honestly, the Blockstream's fork of Electrum is such a beast of an application to run. It's one of the most resource-hungry apps I've ever run, and so one day I told Simon, dude, I'm just gonna build a server with like half a terabyte of RAM so we can keep the entire blockchain in RAM. And he's like, dude, you're crazy. I'm like, watch me, And so I just started building these crazier and crazier servers so they're not even using like SSD drives, they're using NVMe drives, which is non-volatile memory. So it's kind of like RAM, but it doesn't lose the data when you turn off the power. So that having several of those in like a RAID 0 with tons of RAM caching on top, and it's just multiple layers of caching. That's the real secret to making the backend so fast. And Simon can tell you about the front end. Simon, tell why is the Angular front end so fast, Simon?
Yeah, well, compared to most of the block export, for example, it's quite huge bundle when you do the initial load. So you load basically the whole website, and then it's just JSON that's cached and directly from indexed memory on the server. So when you click around pages, for example, everything is already loaded in the browser memory. So that's why it's quite fast. It just has to preload some data. I think that's you get the extra speed feeling when you're using a single page application.
100%. And it definitely, the look and feel, the speed at which it does come back. So, for instance, we use Mempool.space on our stream to basically, we take a segment of the block moving from one side to the other and show it visually on the screen. And it's just aesthetically pleasing. It feels good to watch the blocks move, right? It feels good to be able to look and see what fees should I be expecting to pay, right? And that is a big thing that most block explorers are actually missing. Like fee estimation is a very hard thing in general.
I think we're almost the only one that updates everything like in real time, like live. So even if you're just looking at an address on Mempool.space, you're gonna see transactions coming in, the balance getting updated, and you're gonna even hear like a catching when you get transfers and stuff just by having the site. So the goal has been to like everything you see should be updated in real time. It's being pushed from the server when there's an update. And the main feature, of course, is when you're tracking a transaction. You're checking your transaction. You're sitting there rolling your thumbs, waiting for a block to come. You don't want to press F5, reload. You just want to see it move through the mempool, move to being confirmed.
It's 2020.
Yeah.
We should not
Flip,
be able to reload. Yeah. I
think the reason for that is like in the past, the mempool never got full, right? There was never any mempool congestion up until probably 2017 was the first time it really happened. And almost all of the block explorers were developed before then. So the mempool wasn't even like a thought. You were only loading, mined blocks data. That would never change, right? Because obviously once a block is mined, it's immutable. So there was no need for this kind of real-time update system at all. You would just load dynamically generated HTML into a browser. But now we're kind of like the pioneers of a mempool explorer concept, right? So it's not a block explorer, it's a mempool explorer. Because now, as the Bitcoin fee market develops, the mempool is always going to be full, right? There's always going to be a need to know what fee you need to pay, what priority you want to get into, how soon you want to get confirmed. And so you're going to be looking at the mempool a lot more than the past, right? Because once it's mined, maybe you check it, but that's not really interesting anymore. When it's still stuck in the mempool, that's like really important. So that's what we got to aim to solve.
No, and it's pushed me, I know personally, to really think more about the mempool as a whole. And I know there's some other developers who spend, like Jimmy Rubin spends a good time thinking about mempool and what we should be doing there and how we can optimize. And fee estimators is awful in general, right? So I'm curious, like, have you guys learned anything from doing this that would create derivative products that might be helpful on the fee estimation side or anything else?
Well, Bisq currently uses the mempool fee estimation API for its, all of its nodes. So there's all the Bisq users out there, and currently every Bisq trade is like 4 on-chain transactions. So if you're, if one of those transactions gets stuck in the mempool, it can really screw up the trade protocol and really cause a lot of disruption to just, the market. And so when people have these real money on the line, they can't really risk getting their transactions stuck in the mempool. So now Bisq is actually talking about adding the fee priority as like a parameter to an offer. So if your time preference is very low, you might be okay to buy some Bitcoin with a very low fee going to your wallet, right? If you only want to buy like $100 worth of Bitcoin, you're not going to pay $20 fee for that transaction, right? But when the mempools get full, that's actually what you would have to pay to get done in a quick time. So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of develops over time, is when the mempool is always full and these layer 1 use cases get essentially priced out. What kind of derivative markets will develop.
And speaking of layer 1, have you looked at adding any type of capabilities for Lightning or any other layer 2 solution that might be out there?
I think it's the natural next step, actually, and it's gonna make sense. We got some suggestions when people say, "Oh, can you just add a Lightning Explorer as well?" Like, yeah, sure, but it might be a bigger project than that. But I think, because right now, for example, when we're supporting Liquid and stuff, so we even have like links on a transaction. You can see it's like a peg out or peg in to Liquid, for example, and you can click between them. I think that's something we might add in the future, so that this transaction, you can see that it's a Lightning channel, and then you can just jump straight to that channel or something if we do a Lightning Explorer. But then you have the issue when we get Taproot and stuff, that's going to be invisible.
Right.
So, but
I think the vision of mempool is kind of like a focus on the upper layers or layer 2 networks in Bitcoin, right? So by building mempool with Liquid and Lightning in mind, you can really get like the full Bitcoin ecosystem all on one website.
Would be ideal if you have the full Bitcoin ecosystem, like you said. And people are, maybe in 5-10 years from now, maybe people aren't going to use on-chain that much. They're going to use the upper layers. Right. They're going to use Lightning and stuff. So maybe we need to follow that trend. And
I can totally envision a
like
future
node operators and Lightning node operators that are going to use on-chain. So they still need to use the Mempool.space to check the fees and stuff.
Yeah, I can totally envision a future where Lightning is used for like smaller payments and Liquid is used for larger payments, and everyone just kind of settles on Bitcoin. That seems like a very logical next step for the Bitcoin economy or ecosystem to develop. And even like Bisq is eventually going to get priced out of layer 1, and they'll have to move to like either Liquid or Lightning kind of layer 2 solution. So we want to support the Bitcoin community as it kind of adapts to this new fee market, and we want to help, especially like guys like Bisq. That's the most important, right? The community itself.
I agree. Yeah, and Lightning, we do a little bit of work with Lightning through our Carrot application, and it's been interesting. Again, having something like Mempool.space up constantly in my face all the time has been like, hey, we need to get channels open right now. We need to figure this out, because I think there's some really interesting revenue models on that end. And so it's been, I think, helpful in just kind of pushing that idea. And again, it's something we talk about on the channel, that when we're seeing low fees because of the software that you guys have built, people get excited. And I don't know if they all understand exactly what that means, right? That the fees are low, but it's that people were presented with that information in a nice, easy, very cool way, right? With little sounds and gadgets and moving things, that they get absolutely pumped over it. And so it's, again, it's been a big hit there. All right. So Liquid seems to be a big part of this. What else is going on? Like, what else are you developing specifically for Liquid that might be coming out to help people get a little bit more visibility into what that network is doing?
I guess the next logical step for Mempool is to develop a wallet app. So I'm a member of the Liquid Federation, and this kind of enables me to implement like a peg in, peg out system. And so we think it would be really cool to make, because all a wallet really is blockchain visualization or mempool visualization, and private key management, which can be offloaded to like a Trezor or Cold Card, some other hardware signing device. So it's very, it's kind of like the next logical step for a block explorer to become a wallet. And if you look at some other models like blockchain.info, that was the model that they did, right? Like first they made the block explorer, then they made the API, then they made the wallet, then they got into shitcoins, but that's another discussion. Like
Bitcoin, we want to. I know you're good for it. I know you're good.
Well, we want to just stay on the track of the Bitcoin open source model, where we stay Bitcoin only, and that's why I like Liquid, honestly, right? Because it's an ethical side chain, right? You can have a layer 2 side chain without a shitcoin. It's just Bitcoin gets pegged in and Bitcoin gets pegged out. And of course, there's some security trade-offs, right? You're trusting the Liquid Federation members to let you peg out when you want to get your Bitcoin back. But there's no shitcoinery, right? There's no, let's pre-mine 1 million Ethereum to ourselves, right? So that's why I like Liquid, is because it's very reasonable, it's very ethical. And if we can make a wallet that allows you to go easily between Liquid and layer 2 and layer 1, that would be really cool. I don't know, Simon, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but we have some of these ideas. But I think it seems like we're able to succeed where some other explorer can't, because we're open source. Just like we've seen with the languages now, just these past few weeks, when we went from 0 to 20 languages in like 2 weeks, because we have all these people just coming in and collaborating and helping and doing stuff, and we're already surpassing all the other block explorers, like merged together, and that's been like incredible. So if you're gonna see the same stuff with other features we're adding, like it's gonna be so easy to compete.
Yeah, I mean, that's the real power of open source, right? Like I was looking at some other popular explorers like blockchain.info or just all of them out there. Even the ones that do support multiple languages only have like 5 or 6, and they're not really translated well. You can tell like they use Google Translate or something. It's just not well done. And I just sent out a tweet like, hey, we're gonna add internationalization to Mempool. Can you sign up here to translate Mempool in your language? And geez, it's only been like a week now, and we have 20 languages done.
That's awesome.
Shipped live on the site right now. It's been like not even like 7-10 days max. Like the community, this is the power of open source and everyone working together to make the best Explorer. That's how we're, so successful with this project. It's just the community coming together.
Where else are you looking for contributors currently? I know both of you guys seem to split here on the back end and the front end of this. The translation is always a great place for people to cut their teeth, especially if they're not developers and you still, are friendly with Git and you can get around there and understand that. But what else is interesting to you guys to try to attract new developers?
We have a long backlog on the front end side. We have a bunch of features we would like to do, but there's a lot of work, probably more data analysis work that would be done that we couldn't do with fee estimation. like using all the data that we have and gathering to make better predictions, like following the trend of the mempool, for example, and how the rate of how transactions are coming in. I've been thinking of that for a long time, but it takes a lot of research and time to come up with something concrete there. And there's other stuff like data collection and graphs and stuff. We just basically have two graphs now, for the mempool graph and the transactions first coming in, and but I see we could add much more interesting data stuff, and like maybe compare fee estimations and stuff. There's a lot of stuff to be done, but we have to prioritize because it's mostly me just doing the development and Wiz helping out. So, and there's a lot of stuff like working with like the languages for the past few weeks, and now also a big project we're working on is the server pre-rendering. So we're not happy. We're gonna make the site even faster. It's gonna be instant when you load it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing about Simon and me. We're just we'll spend weeks working on something that makes the site load like 300 milliseconds faster, because we're just insane, right? And we want it to be as fast as possible, and you know, both on the back end and the front end. So like even right now, I just bought a new server today, to another new server for Mempool. But in terms of like contributors, it would be cool to, if the community wants to run their own mempool instances. We have a few guys like MZ and Devin running their own instances. We also have a few contributors like TechMix and our designer Pedro. He's kind of helping us out. But mostly it's just Simon and me doing the project. But our sponsor community is really amazing. We have over 50 sponsors now who've donated. Yeah, you're
like one of the. I think you've got like one of the top groups of sponsors at this point. Actually, I was digging through the other day. It's a pretty great list of people who have been sponsoring you guys.
It took me by surprise when Wiz suggested that we should add a sponsor page. I just thought, what's the point? We're not going to get any sponsorship. And that was like 2 months ago.
Yeah, that's true. Like we never, I mean, it's so humbling. It's so heartwarming to see, when we wake up and, you look at your phone and you see, wow, we got, a new sponsor. It's just so heartwarming to see the community really coming out. And I talk to a lot of our sponsors, and they say that they just want to support us, or they have some feedback or some bug reports or some feature requests, right? And they're all amazing people. Actually, like all of our sponsors, I've spoken to every one of them. They're all just amazing Bitcoiners, and it's so heartwarming to have like this real community coming together around this site. Like when we started the Explore project, Simon, could you believe that we would have 30,000 daily active users on the site? Like every day, 30,000 random people from all over the world are just using our site. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it was just a pet project that grew to something bigger.
That's pretty phenomenal. And I know also there's another, the version 1 is also available on Docker for people to run, and it's a little bit lighter weight, a little bit easier to run.
That's basically the version that split off back in early, like January this year or something. So that's basically the 1 year old version that's available on all of the the node solutions like Raspberry Blitz, MyNode, and the Dojo, I think, Ronin Dojo. But I don't like that version because it's so outdated now. But we are trying to make it so that the current version will work on a Raspberry Pi. That's like the goal, and that's been a long-term goal. It's just that it's really hard to. We've been trying to adapt the backend we're using for Raspberry Pi, but it's just simply is too.
Yeah, I think like to touch on the back end a little bit, there's the initial implementation of Electrum server in Rust by Roman Z, and there's Blockstream's fork of it, where they implemented a totally new database index that's just much heavier to run, which is great for, you know, running like a public website where you're gonna have thousands of users every day. You want it to be as fast as possible. But if you want it to run on a Raspberry Pi, you know, we have to implement the Roman Z Electris API together with Core and implement all this complicated stuff. So yeah, like we don't really push the V1 mempool Docker because it's kind of old and you know, it doesn't really have any features. It was just what the site was a couple years ago. And so I would say wait for V2, because when mempool V2 runs on your Raspberry Pi, you know, it's going to be amazing. And probably a couple more months until we figure that out. But yeah, that'll be huge.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. And look, I can always load Mempool.space directly. It's pretty easy, and I can watch it from there. So
accessible from Overtor if you care about your anonymity when you're searching for transactions.
That's awesome.
You're running already. So that's our goal, is to kind of replace or to decentralize the Block Explorer with an open source project.
That's awesome. Simon, what's been the most exciting part of all of this? Is it seeing the traffic? Is it seeing the people love what you've worked on? Is it getting to play with maybe some new technology? What's been the best fun? Just giving back to Bitcoin in general?
For me, I think the best is just seeing it pop up everywhere. Like you're seeing it on random Twitter threads, traffic coming from Telegram, people are using it. Like wow, they're actually using my site. That's probably been the best, and it's motivating.
That's awesome. Wiz, what about you? What's been the most exciting piece of all of this?
I went to my friend's bar last night, and Japanese customer next to me had a Mac laptop running Japanese Mac OS, and he opened up the Mempool.space website, and of course it automatically redirected him to the Japanese version of the website. And he said, wow, it even has Japanese support. And he was very impressed by that. And it was something we had only added a few days ago, but I felt like, wow, like we're really when you see just an average person using the site, it's really heartwarming to makes you feel like your time was spent correctly.
Well, I can tell you both that the time you're spending on it is valuable. I know that we've loved it here at Bitcoin Magazine, and I know that the ethos of which you're building it is right in line with, I think, what we're excited about, and it's just awesome, and I appreciate the work.
And it always blows my mind that we're like two guys just working out of our own pockets, and we are able to compete with the major billion-dollar companies like blockchain.com, and people are starting just using us as default, and that blows my mind.
Well, you've built something that's unique and interesting as a mempool explorer instead of a block explorer, and that's really the next important piece for everyone to start thinking mempool first, because you got to get those transactions done. All right, guys, I appreciate the time here today, and we'll look forward to seeing more from Mempool.space.